It marks 25 years since Hurricane Andrew, the Category 5 storm, slammed right into South Florida, leaving South Dade just devastated.
And earlier today, our Local 10 colleagues who reported through Andrew shared their memories leading up to the storm. But as you'll see now, the days and months after Andrew were even worse than the hurricane itself.
Even though we knew it was a very strong storm, I don't think anybody was prepared for what we saw that next day.
It was absolutely devastating. Tiling from the roof, glass plating from the cars. You can barely see the front path.
I had never, ever seen such devastation before.
If you've ever been skeptical as to whether a mobile home is a safe place to be in a hurricane, this should prove it to you. There's literally nothing left to this home.
And the further south we drove, the worse it got.
They survived Hurricane Andrew. Now they're trying to survive the elements.
And I could not believe my eyes. It was as if the hand of God had come down and done this to the South Florida landscape.
You're dealing with them and they're dealing with you. Meanwhile, there are people standing out in the field who need a drink of water.
There's something to be said for the kind of shock that you feel. It's a trauma.
It was like the whole area had been carpet bombed.
I've been embedded with troops in wars in the Middle East, but I have never seen such devastation.
We were without water. We were without electricity. There was no security. It was like living in a war zone.
Everywhere you went, there were stories.
I saw a building that people had gotten up onto the roof and painted onto the roof, "We need food."
Central Villas, just outside Florida City, is devastated. They need food. They painted this on their roof to attract some sort of attention because they haven't seen any relief trucks this far south.
There were times when you had to stop rolling, and just say, "Look, guys, can we just get a minute? We'll get the story, but there's something bigger going on here. These are people that live in my community. They're without a home. They've lost almost everything."
I'm waiting for a looter. If I see somebody come in that house, he's a dead man.
South Miami-Dade, for a number of days, was the Wild West.
There was looting. I saw that. There was the Wild West. There was lawlessness in some areas.
The fear for property is real, as we saw in a nearby shopping area. The National Guard moved in.
You would walk down the street and there were soldiers carrying weapons. You couldn't believe this was happening in your hometown.
You stealing TVs and stuff like that, and telephones?
Miami-Dade police did the best they could, but they were overwhelmed too.
I saw people sitting on their front porch with the shotgun. I saw neighbors putting up signs saying, "Don't even think about it."
Everything was just wiped out. And it's real bad down here. We really need a lot of help.
We need all the help we can get.
We're doing everything we can. Where in the hell is the cavalry on this one?
When Kate Hale said, "Where's the cavalry?" it summed up in a phrase what everybody in this community who was hurting was feeling. Where is Washington? Where is the help we deserve?
They're blowing the horn and no one's coming.
At least 7,000 federal troops are on station or en route to deliver services to Floridians who are the victims of this horrible disaster.
I want you to form an orderly line right where the National Guard is.
Correct me, I'm hungry.
While yes, I think of Hurricane Andrew as one of the worst events I ever lived through and my community ever lived through, I'm so proud of the way that our neighbors here in South Florida responded to it.
We're getting tired of sleeping like we're sleeping, but we thank you all so much.
As difficult as it was, there were moments of generosity and kindness and community.
It
it was only in covering Hurricane Andrew that I realized how fragile my own existence is and how fragile it is for all those that we covered and who that storm touched.
And it's almost ironic. A Miami fixture took a beating from Andrew. Yes, the Coppertone girl lost her head.
I remember driving, this was like 2 weeks later, after I finally was able to get back into my home, driving home and weeping.
The first few years after Andrew, when we ran stories, I couldn't look at the video because I wouldn't be able to continue to talk or read without having some kind of break from emotion in my voice.
Undoubtedly, a lot of it was just seat of your pants, and you just had to rely on your instincts. Andrew made me a better reporter.
Even all this time later, 25 years later, I look at those pictures and I could start to cry.
Hurricane Andrew and Andrew-related stories were the lead story on Channel 10 for 2 months. That says a lot about just how big of an impact this storm had on South Florida.
Ooh, it's hard to look at that video now and not get welled up. What a shared experience. Our crews did such an amazing job back then. If you have enjoyed these stories, you can have a closer look at Hurricane Andrew 25 years later through our crew's many memories. Check out our special section on local10.com. You can click on the link right there on our homepage.